Welcome to Roy Tech video tutorial. Today we're going to talk about the network configuration part 1. So the first thing that we need to do is open the project. And as you can see in your screen right now, Simatic already opened the project that we made in the last video. Because if you remember the name of our project, basically it is going to be called Roy Tech. So in this case, step 7, it is always going to open the last project that you have been working. So if you have been working with other kind of projects and you want to open it, the only thing that you need to do is basically go to File and then select Open. And in here you can select the project that you want. For example, in this case, step 7 already opened our project. And how do I know this is my project? Well, because if I go down, you're going to see that Roy Tech is the name of my project, correct? And it's located in C, Documents and Settings, XPM, User, Desktop, Example, and finally Roy Tech. The same thing that I have in here, it's located in here as you can see right now. So now I am just going to close this window in here. And if you remember, in the last video we made the hardware configuration. So I am going to open it. And in here basically I am going to show you the network configuration that we create in the last video. And to do that, the only thing that I need to do is select this button that says configure network. And in here you can see a red line that it is going to be the network. And if you remember, this is my PLC. So if I want to have communication between the PLC and the network, the only thing that I need to do is basically select this square that is in a color red and put it into this red line that it is the network. But for today I'm not going to do it because as you can see, this PLC only has one way to connect to the network. So right now I am just going to change it. So I am going to close this window in here. Do you want to save the changes? I would say no. And in here basically I am just going to delete this CPU. Why I'm going to delete this one? Because remember that with this CPU we only going to have one way to connect into a network. So right now I am just going to delete it. I am going to say yes, and then I am going to press again yes. And in here, if you remember, I need to go to Simatic 300 and then CPU. And finally, I am going to select CPU 315 to PNDP. So that means that in here, we are going to have two different ways to communicate with the PLC. So I am going to open it. And then in here you can select the version of the model that you want. So in this case I am going to select the newest one and I am going to put it in the slot number 2 as we did it in the last video, remember? So in here you're going to see that I can type the IP address of my PLC, the submask nest, and if I check this button in here, because I am going to use a router, I can type the address of my router, but I'm not going to use any kind of router. So I am going to select do not use, and also I am going to leave the IP address and the submask nest by default. And then I am going to press OK. So now we need to select which kind of network we are going to work with this new CPU. So I am going to make double clicking here, and in this case you can change the name and also the type that we are working for. So it could be MPI or also we can work with Profibus. Alright? So in this case I am going to close this one in here, this window in here, and I am going to type IO modules, alright? But I am going to put it like this way. And yes, the interface, it is going to be Profibus. So also you can go to properties and basically select the address of the Profibus. So I am going to select the number 2. In fact, Simatic, it is going to give you the number address 2 by default. So in this case, if I press OK and finally OK again, you are going to see that at the end we are not going to configure our network. So in this case, what you need to do is go again to the properties, and in the subnet, you need to select new. So also, as you can see in here, you can type the name, you can put a comment, and in the network settings, basically you can type the transmission rate and the profile. But in this case, we are not going to do any kind of changes. Basically, we are going to leave it everything by default. So in this case, I need to press OK. And as you can see, the subnet has already been created. And remember that the subnet, it is going to be Profibus, okay? So right now I need to select OK and finally OK. And you are going to see right now in your screen that this, it is going to be the subnet of the CPU, or in this case, the brain of our PLC. Anyway, this is it for the moment. Thank you for watching Roy Tech video tutorial. See you on the next video.